Chris Evans teams up again with the Russo Brothers for a can't-miss summer blockbuster.
It is high action, it is lots of explosions, and Milton constant snarky comments, so it's my kind of movie.
Yeah, it's just another Thursday on the Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton.
All right, well, we were back as season 2, brand new set, brand new studio.
Yep.
Brand new us.
Feels great.
It does feel good, but it's not Thursday. Maybe it is Thursday, I don't know. But just another Thursday, Milton?
Yeah, it's a line from the movie that we both really enjoyed.
We did.
Basically what the main character was saying is like, hey, this is just another thing I'm going to take care of right now. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
No big deal.
And then he goes off and destroys everything. Yeah,
yes,
that's great.
Which is what we love about this movie.
We do. We do want to mention that we do talk about spoilers on this podcast. So if you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't want us to spoil anything, I don't think we will, honestly.
No.
There's not any big reveals, but I don't want to make you angry either. So go watch it and then come on back. All right. So this is the Russo Brothers. Big action names right now. They directed both Captain Americas, I believe. Yep. Winter Soldier and Civil War.
Yeah.
And both Avengers movies, Endgame and Infinity War, like the biggest movie ever. And so then they reunite with Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, and they did this amazing spy, CIA, assassin movie. It's kind of like Captain America without superheroes.
Yeah, this movie is a problem for me because
Okay.
It's just bromance city. I mean,
There's a lot of testosterone in this movie.
you got Chris Evans.
That's for you personally.
Just me personally.
Oh,
Chris
okay,
Evans,
I get
who's
it.
just. I mean, come on. You got Ryan Gosling. I mean, just hello. And then the Russo brothers, who directed probably my favorite MCU film of all time, Infinity War. I mean,
yeah.
I cannot not watch this movie several times.
I love it. This is episode 2. Last episode we talked about Thor, which had Chris Hemsworth in it. Oh. And I remember there was a moment in season 1 where I was gonna say we, but really it was you. Let's be honest, where you were gushing about all the Chris's.
Oh, the Chris's are just.
And now in 2 episodes we've had Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth. Was this planned? I'm kind of thinking this was planned by you, Milton.
Hey, we got to make the show good, man. We got to put some good stuff out there.
Well, if you want to go see the show, I know it's out on Netflix now, so you guys can go catch it there.
Yeah, but we saw it in the movies because they released it in the theater first, and then it's on Netflix too. It's just one of those CIA mission goes bad. We don't know who the bad guy is.
Yeah.
Kind of thriller, action, just awesome. And kudos to the Russo brothers, who you would think that by now in film history, we would have figured out every which way to do a car chase,
right?
A fight between two spies, but they figure out these ways of doing it that I just never expected.
I think I was stupid smiling in parts where I was like, okay, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was over and over and over again. The cinematography and just where they filmed it and how they staged all these fight scenes. I want to hear your favorite. What was because really what this was, I pictured Russo brothers sitting in a room with a whiteboard and just going, let's think of every crazy set idea that we can put 2 guys in and just like where they just annihilate each other.
Right.
What can we do?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how about a giant, like pyrotechnic
firework
show,
yes.
And have them fight in the middle of all the cannons going off.
It's ridiculous, but it's great.
It's great. It is so good. That was my favorite.
Yeah. So if you've seen Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
the
right,
MCU movie Shang-Chi. There's a scene, a great action scene where Shang-Chi fights the bad guys in this bus, like this segmented bus.
So good, yeah.
So the Russo brothers take that idea and just times it by 10.
Right, yeah.
In this movie, that was my favorite scene where, what was it, in Prague when that's happening? Just loved that scene.
And I love the music came down. it was just this low hum that you heard in Civil War a lot, just this low hum. And then he's sitting there on the bus, and he's on the top of the bus, and he's looking into the building on the mirror, and that's how he sees the bad guy on the bus. And then I'm not explaining. I'm not giving it justice.
It's so good.
It's great.
It's so
stuff.
good.
Very creative. Lots of violence.
Lots of violence.
And it was pretty raw at parts.
Yeah.
Torture. I can't do torture scenes. Like I
was a little
almost threw up in your lap.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. Next time we'll have the bro seat between us. Anytime we see a potential Kevin throw up movie, we don't want that happening.
But overall, it was really good.
Yeah.
I was excited about this one.
Now, I want to speak a little bit before we go into the deep stuff of the movie. So Chris Evans, as an actor, just as an actor, okay. Let's think about what he's done, okay.
Right.
So. I think one of my first introductions to him is as Human Torch in Fantastic Four. So he's been in superhero movies. Then, of course, Captain America. We loved him as Captain America. I mean, the arc of Captain America through the whole MCU movies to end at Endgame.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. And then he's in a movie called Knives Out where he plays the villain.
Right, yeah.
And in this movie, he plays a villain. Just a jerk of a person.
Oh, yes.
And then there's another movie that he's in called Gifted, which is a dramatic role.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, he floored me with his ability to just go deep into these emotional spaces. Chris Evans is, we mostly know him as Captain America, but if you only know him as Captain America, you aren't knowing him completely as an actor. He is a great, great actor, and you need to check him out on other things.
Did you see Snowpiercer?
Yes.
He's great in that as well.
He was very good in that as well. So great actor. I just love him. I can't wait to see what else he does moving forward.
So this movie I was actually surprised at how much snark and sarcastic humor was in this movie. It was as nonstop as the action. So was it grating at you at all? Like, did it get old?
No.
It didn't for me
give
either.
me more. I love snarkiness.
That's right.
I give it to my children. They give it back to me. It feels like a warm blanket. More. I want more.
Yeah. It was a nice compliment to the tension.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And that tension was created as we go a little bit into what the story was trying to teach us or tell us or show us. It's because there are all these people who are supposed to just be there for each other, and all of a sudden, the story explodes, and you don't know who can you trust, who can't you trust, who can you count on when things are just not going well. And this is what Ryan Gosling's character has to go through in this story. He doesn't know whether he can rely on someone or not. And that is a truth of life sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and his character also he was in jail.
Yes.
Went through a lot of trauma. We'll talk about that in a minute. But then he went to jail, and then he was let out, and he doesn't really have anything to lose. He's kind of out there on his own, but yet still has friends and still has deep connections that are being questioned everywhere.
Yeah.
So he struggles with that. And I think it's a very much a parallel of how we try to navigate life as different challenges come up.
Yeah.
How do we build trust and loyalty with people who fail us constantly?
Well, and your question makes a big assumption, which I don't know if it's a right assumption, which is, can you even create trust in people, or are people just trustworthy or not? Right? And I think that's because his character, he has to have help if he's going to succeed in this story.
Right.
So, and I think that's true of life. If we're going to succeed in life, we have to have help. We have to have people that we can go through the tough times with. How do we determine the people that we can count on and the people that we can't count on?
I think a big part of that is empathy. If the other person is able to relate in some way and understand, yeah, those decisions were horrible, but I understand how you got there. It's not a choice that I would have made, but I get how A, B, and C are lining up in your life.
Okay.
Now we're to a point where we can build on that. Versus, I question everything you do, and I don't trust you. It's more of it's hard to give when you're not getting it in return. At least it is for me. And so you saw that in this movie, in the character of where this guy's in jail for years and years, and the entire system has failed him, and he had to make a really horrible choice that he thought was heroic, and then he gets some guy going, you know what? I would have pulled the trigger too. I would have done that.
Yeah.
And then that bond is formed.
Right.
And you saw it in reverse too. Then, when Ryan's character was in the plane and almost got killed by the decision of his friend.
Right.
He got betrayed. He goes, you know what? I understand why you betrayed me.
Right.
And
it was actually a good reason.
Sure.
Why he had to kind of give him up.
But how hard is that to do?
Oh my goodness.
You betrayed me. I'm gone.
Right.
I don't care what your reasons were. I got hurt, and this causes me pain, and I'm out of here. That's my reaction a lot. That I'm out. I peace out.
Yeah.
And I miss the opportunity to give that person a second chance.
Right. But that the reason Ryan Gosling's character was able to do that was because we know that there was a whole history that they had created together. I think it was 14 years, it said. 14 years had passed, where that guy recruited him into the CIA, and they had done missions together for 14 years. So for 14 years, they built this strong relationship. And we have to be willing to say, we've invested in these relationships, and we're not going to just throw them away because one moment didn't go well.
Right.
And I think our society is teaching us that relationships are really easy to just give up on and pick up another one. And
Sure.
And I'm saying, no, they are not. No. They are not. I have invested, and my wife has invested too, for 25 years into our marriage.
Yeah.
And you think that because she, I don't know, didn't put the dish where I wanted it to go, or didn't deliver on some expectation I had, that I'm going to be like, peace, honey. No, it's 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and work that thing out.
Yeah. I think of my best friend a lot in this topic, because we went through a phase where, I mean, we've been best friends since 18, and I'd do anything for this guy.
Okay.
And I know he would do the same for me now. But we went through a period where we didn't talk for 4 years. And I was bitter. I was in a bad season of life, and I was blaming him for a lot of things. It was really unfair. And to his credit, he just was patient for me. And so when I went back to him after these 4 years and we hashed some things out, like, he gave me so much grace and so much forgiveness. And now we're right back where we started. And I know I would do that again for him. And so I think that's how trust and loyalty are formed through long life.
Yeah.
And if you go through that time with anybody, you're going to hit a lot of snags. And if you stay in it, that's where it's built.
Yeah. And the importance of, when you hit those snags, to come together.
Right.
To figure it out. I'll give you an example of how this isn't happening in my neighborhood. So our neighborhood's being built up and being finished, and we have a Facebook group where people can put hey, we're gonna have a yard sale, or we're gonna do our part of the development is gonna do a barbecue or something, and inviting the whole. And somebody put up a semi-snarky, passive-aggressive post, which was, hey everybody, our neighborhood would be so much more valuable if everyone made sure that their yard looks good, and you pulled up your weeds, and you didn't leave your trash cans out longer than you needed to, blah, 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 and
yeah.
So she put that out there, okay? And then somebody came up and said, hey, if you've got an issue with the way somebody's doing something, not taking care of something, the best thing that you can do is not to be a Karen and put up, he used the word, and put up this passive-aggressive post, but go to that person's house.
Right.
Knock on their door, because maybe they're sick. Maybe they just lost their job. Maybe they're going through some stuff. And maybe if we find out, we can support somebody and help them. in maybe what might be their worst moment. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that was the message, and I'm like,
how novel.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the truth of it. Like,
right.
if we can come together and instead of assuming what's going on, oh, you let me down because you're a bad person. No, maybe there's something there that if we come together, we can actually become closer by wrestling through it together.
Did she respond in kind and all the solutions were solved
I didn't
on
go
Facebook?
back because I'd gotten enough snark for the day.
That's it. Well, I think that's a great example of how people can let us down and how we assume the best in others instead of just pulling away. Yeah. A major part of this also is just how we deal with trauma.
Yeah.
A large part of this movie dealt with that, and we're talking about capital T trauma in this story, and how that affects your ability to trust people in the future. How have you seen that work?
Oh man, you see it so much in relationships. When I do premarital counseling with people who are thinking of making a lifelong commitment to each other, but one party has been hurt by a parent or someone who was supposed to love them and let them down, and now all of a sudden it's hard to risk. And for a relationship to grow, you have to risk.
For sure.
You have to go for it, and people are not willing to do that because they've been hurt before. So if you've had trauma in your life, one of the best things that you can do is get to work on that trauma and try to get to the place where you can deal with it, where you can get it healed in some way, get the counseling you need, because that will be a barrier for you to connect with other people in the future.
100%, and it's never too late to do that.
Never.
There's so many resources out there that can help, both online and privately, as well as here in local communities that you can reach out to and get help. And I would echo that. Keep working on yourself.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, this movie is a lot of fun.
It is. I'm going to see it again.
There is some good deep things that we can talk about, but on the surface, if you just want a good action flick, we would highly recommend this movie. Go see it. It's The Gray Man. It's out now on Netflix. And thank you very much for joining us for the Finding Good podcast. We'll be back. Lots of more movies. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell button, whatever you got to do to make sure you get new episodes.
There you go. See you next time.